as we get started, thanks for joining us for this Startup Grind Fireside Chat. I'm Craig Kaplan. I'm director of the Startup Grind chapter based in Manhattan Beach. And for those of you who are coming to a Startup Grind event for the first time, Startup Grind is a global organization run by independent chapter directors like myself who do this as a passion of bringing people together to learn stories of entrepreneurial founders and executives like we have here, Nick, today. And so these are independently run events, and they're run all over the world. And it's a great organization to be a part of, and happy to have you all join us here. It's terrific to get folks into the Virbela space as well. We feel like, thanks to Virbela for sponsoring this event and providing a conference hall with a lot of fun features like you've been experiencing here. For a moment, I can see that Aiji Morishita is here from Pasadena. Why don't you type in the public chat, where you're from? It's so interesting to see where people are connecting in. So if you're from LA, or if you're from San Diego, Boston, Saratoga Springs, of course, Elizabeth. It's fun to communicate on the chat if you have questions and discuss. This is also because of COVID-19 and sort of the unusual circumstances we're in across the world, and the fact that virtual events are maybe not as fun as they used to be now that we're all on video conferences for 8 or 9 hours a day. What the Southern California chapters of Startup Grind have done is come together, and so this event's been co-sponsored not by my chapter, as well as Jamila Jackson's chapter out of Hollywood, Atlas Blake's chapter out of West LA, as well as Jessica Acosta's chapter out of Irvine. And so we're excited that we brought a bunch of Startup Grind Southern California chapters together and bringing the membership together as well. So thank you for joining us. Without further ado, wanted to thank Nick Ortner, who's joined us as well today, and the highlight of this conversation. Nick is CEO of the Tapping Solution, founder of the organization. I'm really excited to have Nick here because one of the things we wanted to do with the summer series, of events, we're calling it Thriving and Surviving. And we wanted to bring together leaders from different startups that are either helping people during COVID-19 or helping us survive or thrive. And this is really a perfect example of a startup that Nick has launched, and is really something critical and something I think we all are thinking about in terms of the pressures and anxieties and stresses that we all have every day that have really been increased because of COVID-19. So Nick, thanks for joining us and being a part of this discussion, and we're really excited to learn about tapping today.
My pleasure, excited to be here.
What I've got before we get started in conversation is a quick intro video that I think I'd play right now. So everybody can look on the screen behind me. I will throw this up here. Yeah, let me try that again. There it goes.
Call it tapping as a general term because we're literally tapping on endpoints of meridians of our body. We're tapping on these points while saying certain statements, while focusing on the stress, the challenge, whatever's going on in our lives.
It's this beautiful kind of elegant interplay between energy and psychology.
First of all, I was very impressed with the research. The fact that cortisol levels fall very significantly with the tapping.
Tapping is one of the most directed and powerful ways to peel those layers away of chronic stress.
Without EFT, I don't know where I would be. I don't know what I would do.
EFT just, it saved my life. There's no doubt.
tapping as part of a claim to the possibility of healing.
You don't have to believe it. Just tap with me anyway.
Once you experience it, then you know that it's working.
I don't know what more incentive you need than that.
All righty.
All right. Can we first talk about the thing my brain is doing, watching an avatar, watching myself on the screen? It's all very confusing.
It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it is really, for those of us who spend a lot of time in Verbella, you get very relaxed. I mean, talking about, kind of reducing anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
We talked before this event, like, do you want to put your face on live stream your webcam for the event? And basically like, no, I'm kind of tired. It's the end of the day. I don't want to be in broadcast mode.
Yeah.
Because there's the fatigue of the brain that's happening during video back, the video streaming part. So yeah, this is really I think a great tie-in here in terms of the way that you can interact in a special way and not have it totally fatigue you in a way that is as unexpected.
I love it.
So Nick, let's start off with understanding like what was the inspiration, and your background and coming together and saying, I'm going to start this tapping solution to solve this problem for people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I first discovered tapping personally right around 2003. And my first introduction to it was actually at a Tony Robbins event. I had done a couple of his courses and went to UPW and Date with Destiny and was into the whole thing. And at one of his events, he did a little demonstration of tapping. And he actually handed out a little sheet with different tapping points. And from there, I just got into it. I went home, started researching it online, bought a bunch of books. And from 2003 to about 2007 or so, it was really me just being inspired by tapping. The running joke at the time was, don't say anything's wrong around Nick because he's going to make you tap on it. I was just into it. And it's what's still so powerful about the technique, that anyone can have an experience of it. You can try it so quickly, so easily, and go, okay, something happened here. So that was the first couple of years of me just being excited about it. At the time, I was in real estate. I was buying, fixing up, and selling properties. I had been an entrepreneur of some sorts my whole life, just like we do, moving from one thing to another. And then in the winter of 2007, I had this inspiration to make a documentary film about tapping. I put $40,000 worth of camera equipment on credit cards and credit lines, literally having no idea what we were doing, to the point where my sister, Jessica, who I enlisted on the project, one of my best friends, Nick Polizzi, were in my little apartment opening boxes and saying, I think this is a light. Like, this really looks like a light, doesn't it? So we were just clueless, but we were passionate and excited. And we spent the next year making this film. Now, I want to wrap all that to, 13 years later, and we're going to talk about the journey in between, but just so you have a sense for, how far we've come from there. I was at Tony Robbins' house a couple weeks ago. He's become a friend, and he's a big fan of what we're doing and tapping. The business has been doing about $5 million annually the last couple of years, and it's growing fast. So we have gone from a tiny little apartment, having no clue what we were doing, to a business that's helping, at this point, millions of people around the world.
Amazing. Tony Robbins is he as big as he looks like he is on TV?
He is a giant.
Is he like 7 feet tall or something?
Well, he's 6'7", but he's got big hands, and he's 60 years old. He just turned 60. He's strong as an ox. The guy is relentless. I don't know if anyone happened to catch his virtual UPW that he just did. He's been doing these events for years, and talk about reinventing yourself and, taking things to the next level, like what's happening in Verbella, in the midst of COVID. He did the whole thing online, but not most people go, okay, I guess I'll do my seminar online and I'll have Zoom and just talk to people. No, he built this huge like sound stage where he could see 2,000 people at a time, if not more, these enormous screens, 360 degrees around him, because his events are so immersive and there's so much energy and they're so powerful that he just had to recreate it in some way, and had over 20,000 people attend. So talk about just persistence and reinventing yourself in the face of, a crisis like the one we're going through.
Wow. Incredible. Was there, in terms of the impact of tapping on you in order to inspire, starting a business, is there, some particular impact that it was having in terms of whether it was on stress or anxiety that, was affecting you personally before, jumping in and starting a business this way?
For sure. For the first couple of years that I was using it, I used it for the daily stress, but I also used it to, let's call it, clean up the things from my past. And this is where tapping is extraordinarily powerful, where it's being used with veterans with PTSD in VA hospitals. It being used in really difficult, traumatic situations. I wasn't using it for those things, but I was using it for those things in my life at that point. So I'm 42 now. I was 29 when I started the movie. So let's say I'm 25 when I learn it. And, I would think about things. I would think about things that happened in college. I would think about breakups and relationships. I would think about early business ventures that didn't go well. And there was still stress and energy around it. We think that we move on from these things in our past, but the reality is that if we don't emotionally process them, if we don't heal them, they affect us time and again. And especially when it comes to business, the emotional component of business is vastly underappreciated. The patterns that we have with business are vastly underappreciated. But when you start digging deep, you hear from people things like, oh, I'm either boom or bust. I grow really quickly and then everything seems to fall apart. Or I'm always at this income level and I can't seem to break through. Or I have problem focusing, or whatever it is that's going on. We all have these patterns, which are emotional patterns, stress patterns from the past and from our current experiences, and they keep us stuck. So I knew, by the time I started to make the film, I had had a web design and marketing consulting business for a couple of years out of college. Then I went into real estate, buying, fixing up, and selling houses. So, it was just like us entrepreneurs do, jumping around to whatever seems to happen or business opportunities there. But I had those patterns of boom and bust. I had those patterns of doing really well and then finding usually unconscious ways to sabotage them or get distracted or, not keep my eye on the prize. So I did a lot of that inner work through those first couple of years. And I credit that in a big way to, being able to actually get the film done. I mean, if we think no filmmaking experience, no money, no relationships in the industry. I mean, you saw that video with Marianne Williamson that you might remember ran for president last year, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who passed away a few years ago, but was a dear friend, amazing best-selling author. I didn't know any of these people, and they didn't know who I was. I started knocking on doors and sending random emails, and I credit the emotional work along the way, the reducing the stress along the way, so I could stay focused, stay creative, stay innovative to be able to actually get this done.
Amazing. It's always so inspiring to hear, just kind of things start from almost nothing. And I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs in these startup grind conferences, and it's always interesting to hear the inspiration to get it started. And then, clearly it takes a lot of focus and persistence to keep at it. What were there times where, the stress of starting a business from scratch and, the kind of the pressures on trying to make something out of nothing where you wanted to, basically quit or stop what you're doing and not persevere? I think not a lot of, necessarily entrepreneurial types talk about these sorts of things.
Yeah.
But, I know that it happens, and it happens to everybody. So it's always interesting to hear folks who are successful talk about the times where they where they really wanted to quit and they got through it.
No, 100%. And really, The time for me when that happened was that first year. It's interesting that you said creating something out of nothing. I mean, that's what we do in any business we start. And with with the tapping solution film, which is where we started, it was just going, okay, let's make a documentary film about tapping. The concept was, people are using this around the world, getting great results. Let's show it. Let's show it so we can reach more people with it. And really the business model at that time was make the movie and sell the DVD. It's like sell the 1995 DVD, the 29.95 DVD. But in that first year, the first couple of months is just filming stuff, and you have hundreds of hours of footage. And I remember so clearly looking at it, and probably about halfway, even more than a couple months in, we have all this footage, but we just didn't know how to make a movie out of it. It's like, all right, well, we have 300 hours of people talking or things happening, but how is that a film? And again, this is where, I can see those points where if you don't keep your stress in check, if you're overwhelmed, if you're anxious, you're not going to have the creative ideas. If we think, the underlying element of what tapping does is it sends a calming signal to the amygdala in the brain. It tells the body that it's safe. It allows the brain to come back online. When you're stressed, the blood flows away from your brain, hopefully not brains.
I've got a couple brains.
You got a couple
working
brains
against
exactly.
each other.
Yeah, flows away from your brain into your arms and legs. You're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. And if you're in that mode, you're not going to get that creative idea. And I remember one of the creative ideas along the way of making the movie was, okay, we have all this footage, but there's no through line, there's no narrative, there's no storyline. And I didn't want it to just be a dump of information. I wanted it to be a story that people could be emotionally moved by. So we decided to have this event where we invited 10 people from around the country. We had hundreds of applications, people wanting to come to this event with all sorts of challenges. We picked 10 people, and then we went to their houses beforehand. So you see in the movie, John, a 30-year Vietnam veteran with 30 years of chronic back pain. We visit his home in Minneapolis. He's groaning when he's sitting down. You see all his x-rays and medical records and the medicine he's taking. And okay, there's the real person who's never done this tapping thing, the real Vietnam vet who you care about, who has 30 years of chronic back pain. He comes to the event, we do the tapping, show that experience as well, and then we show that he wakes up the second morning pain-free for the first time in 30 years. So it's those kinds of things that, it's like a little too good to be true, but it's there, it's documented. We see it happen, and we follow up with John 6 months later with that result. If it wasn't for doing the tapping along the way, getting clarity, realizing that I had to keep my stress levels low, I don't know if I have that idea. And then, it all washes out because you get stuck. So that year was certainly tough. And then, the other thing that year taught me, and I think now this is even more applicable than ever before. When a lot of people ask me like, oh, how did you do this? How did you produce a DVD? How did you put out your CDs? How did you do your online events? And then I'll ask them, okay, so you want to do a similar thing. You want to create a DVD or you want to create a CD, and they'll say, yeah, I'm interested in doing it and I want to know how. So I'll say, great. So have you written the script for the CD or have you recorded it? And 99 times out of 100, people say, no, I haven't done any of those steps yet, but I just want to know how to do the DVD or how to do the CD or how to do the online event. So all too often we jump 30 steps ahead. And look, it's great to have a plan and have an idea of where you're going, but it's so easy to just get stuck when we jump so far ahead. Like we get out in front of our skis and we're not looking at what's in front of us. The reality in this day and age with Google, with, freelancers, with the resources available, every answer is one click away or one expert away. So don't get stopped by those things that seem so far away, that seem so big. Just focus on what is the next step. And that's what we did throughout that first year to finally get the DVD out.
That's awesome. How often do you do tapping right now?
So
do you daily? Do you do it every other hour? What's
yeah.
the
No, certainly not every other hour. I would say if it's either daily or every other day. I did a lot more in the beginning. My tapping has picked up more recently in the last year and a half, and this is going to be kind of silly, but we launched our tapping solution app a year and a half ago. It's my voice on the app or my sister or my brother's. This is a family business, and but I will, I don't like watching myself on video or replaying other presentations, but I will listen to myself on the app because it's really helpful. When you're overwhelmed, when you're stressed, even if you know the tapping basics, we've got a lot of books about it and things like that. Even if you're an expert, as I am at this point, it can be really helpful to have that guidance. So I find that I do more tapping now with the app than I was doing the previous couple of years before then.
Cool. Well, I think a lot of folks here might not know exactly what tapping methodology is, and so I'm gonna play a short video that you provided us, and about 2.5 minutes long. So check out the main screen, and we'll play this to show everybody what the methodology is.
Hi everyone,
make sure
this is
to
Nick
follow
Ortner.
along.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, Nick.
Sorry, I was going to say, make sure to follow along. I think I take you through the tapping. If I do, do it from home just so you can have an experience.
Cool. Thanks, Nick.
New York Times bestselling author of The Tapping Solution. In this short video, I'm going to explain to you what exactly tapping is, give you a brief demonstration, and let you know how you can apply it to your life. So tapping, otherwise known as EFT or Emotional Freedom Technique, is a technique that combines ancient Chinese acupressure and modern psychology. And we call it tapping because we are literally tapping on endpoints of meridians of our body while saying certain statements. It's certainly a funny looking technique. I felt it was funny and strange when I first discovered it, but it is so powerful on everything from pain relief to financial issues to weight loss issues to limiting beliefs about yourself, about your life, to just overall stress. Tapping is proving to be extraordinarily effective. And it works. What the latest research has shown is that it works because as we tap on these endpoints of meridians while focusing on the stressful issue, the challenge, whatever's going on in our life, we actually send a calming signal to the amygdala in the brain. The amygdala is that very ancient fight or flight response center in the brain. So we are in essence desensitizing ourselves to the stress, turning off that amygdala, turning off that stress signal, rewiring the way the brain works, the way the limbic system reacts, the way the whole body reacts to the stressful challenge. So let's have a very quick experience of it. 3 steps. Step number 1, identify what you want to tap on. One of the first ways to get started, the easiest ways I find, is to pick a physical pain or tension or stress in your body. So if your back hurts, pick that. If your shoulders are tight, you can roll around your neck and see there's some tension there. Pick whatever's going on in your body. And we've identified what we want to tap on. And if it's nothing physical, pick stress. Pick something that's bothering you specifically, something you're angry about, something you're frustrated about. So we have our target, then we give it a number on a 0 to 10 scale. 10 being highest in intensity, 0 being not there at all. So you'll say, I have back pain, it's at a level 7. And then we're going to do some tapping on it. Now we're going to use very general language just to guide you through the process, and you can just repeat after me. As long as you have the intention to focus on your specific issue, you'll get the results you want. So we start by tapping on the side of the hand. It's called the karate chop point. One hand taps on the other. Doesn't matter which hand you use, whatever feels comfortable, and repeat after me. Even though I have this stress in my body, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. We're going to do that 2 more times. Even though I have this stress in my body, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And last time, even though I have all the stress in my body, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now tapping through the points. The first point is the eyebrow point, inside of the eyebrow, right where the hair ends and it meets the nose. Just tap 5 to 7 times and say, this stress. Side of the eye, not at the temple, right next to the eye, one side or both sides, this stress. The meridians run down both sides of the body. Now under the eye, this stress, so you can do one hand or the other hand or both. Under the nose, this stress. Under the mouth, above the chin, below the lip, right in that little crease in there, the stress in my body. 3 points left. Feel for the 2 little bones of the collarbone. Go down an inch, out to each side about an inch. You can tap with all 10 fingers of both hands, all the stress in my body. Now underneath the armpit, 3 inches underneath the armpit, right on the bra line for women, either side of the body, all the stress. And now where we look like monkeys right at the top of the head, all the stress in my body. And we take a deep breath and let it go. And that is one quick, super quick round of tapping. The process is checking back in. What happened? What did you feel? What shifted? What's come up next? And continuing the tapping process until you get the relief that you want. Have a great day and keep tapping.
Awesome. I did it.
That was quick. I mean, that was
I'm
like
feeling better.
That was
I
a
did
super speed round. I see we have someone here who's on the second or third day of the Tapping Solution You Are Enough challenge. We're actually doing first challenge we've ever done, and we just passed 75,000 people registered for it. It's a real simple challenge. It takes one of the meditations from our app that's free, and then people are doing it every day for 8 days and getting simply amazing results. So, that was, again, a really quick experience. I'd recommend the app and a lot of the free stuff in there to have a deeper experience of tapping itself.
Awesome. That's fantastic. When folks are using the app, is it guiding them more for different options? What are some of the different kind of advantages of using the app versus just kind of doing this in ways?
Yeah, great question. So, one of the things that we have found, and I think this speaks to really listening to your customers, reinventing yourself as you get feedback on what's working and not working. I think one of the turning points for me when I made this switch was after I wrote my second book, The Tapping Solution for Pain Relief, and people would say, well, I have lower back pain. Does it work on that? And I'd say, yes, it's pain. Works for pain relief. And then someone would say, well, I have bursitis. My doctor told me I have this. Does it work for that? And I would say, yes, it's pain relief. And then question after question, everyone thinking that their own unique experience was, the thing that they needed some help for. So, and there are some different approaches. So they weren't altogether wrong on that, but I just realized that people wanted guidance, and it makes sense. Like I said earlier, I use my own app. And that's what the app does. Right now, there's about 250 different tapping meditations, addressing different things. So, for example, what the app has allowed us to do in the last couple months is, as soon as coronavirus, hit the world stage and became a thing, we said, we've got to do our part to help. So we did a coronavirus stress and anxiety relief meditation. We did specific ones before a shift for healthcare workers and letting go of the day for healthcare workers. So for those two, for example, that language is specific for healthcare workers. Someone mentioned schooling in the chat. We did coronavirus stress and anxiety for kids and then broke it down into all the ages because we use different language for them. We did a sleep support one, Quiet My Racing Mind, and we made that whole collection free within the app. I think there's about 20 of them in there right now. So altogether in the app, there's 250 different tapping meditations. And again, it's focused on specific things so people can have the experience or get the result they're looking for.
Awesome. That's great. How has COVID-19 affected, your team, the Tapping Solution organization? Are you affected by quarantine and lockdown? Are the employees, are you running the business differently than you were before? Always interested in hearing the sort of the insights for organizations trying to make it through effectively and working effectively.
Totally, great question. Well, the team itself was always virtual, so that didn't really change things for us. For the business, we have a tapping summit every year. So this is an online event. It's got 2 presentations a day for 10 days, and it's about 30 to 40% of our annual revenues during this 1 month event and this product that we sell from it. And coronavirus lockdown started to really happen sort of the week that we closed out the event. We saw what I would figure is about a 20% drop in sales from the pace we were going at for that week. So that took a little bit of adjustment. And then what we realized shortly thereafter was, usually after our summits, we have a couple of promotions where we have our monthly membership and we've got a set slate of promotions, and we knew that it wasn't time for those. It didn't feel right. It just was pretty obvious that we needed to just serve people. So we doubled down on the app. We doubled down on free memberships for healthcare workers, first responders, teachers, and mental health therapists. We've given away over 20,000 of those memberships in the last couple of months. It's a free 6 months. We did all the free meditations in the app. It's just been like, okay, serve, serve, serve. And, good news is we're up a couple of percentage points on last year right now. So, even in the midst of things being down and us giving away a lot of things, we've stayed pretty stable, and the business had stayed stable and is growing. So I think it speaks to, getting out of your way a little bit and going, okay, how can I serve during this time? And, knowing that that's the right thing to do, and hopefully pays off for the business itself in the long run.
Yeah, it's fantastic that you're finding time to give back to the community. I think that's it's hard to do that when either yourself or the organization's under a lot of stress, and thinking about the community and thinking about the healthcare workers out there can be challenging. But it's really inspiring that you are thinking about them during this time. Thank you for that. When you look at just kind of what you see the future with the tapping solution, kind of what is on the horizon for your business, for the app, what do you see happening in the future that you're excited about?
Yeah, the app is about to hit 3 million completed sessions on the app, and one of the things that's exciting about that is we have, before every session, there's a little prompt that says, hey, how stressed are you, how anxious, whatever it is that you're working on in that session, and you put in your number on a 0 to 10 scale, and then at the end you put in your number again. So we have almost 3 million data points, data sets that show the results that people are getting from all the meditations. So I can tell you, for example, with about 300,000 of an anxiety session that was completed, the session runs about 11 minutes, and we have an average drop in anxiety of 42%. So, in terms of research, in terms of breaking past the hurdles that I fully see with why are we tapping and what is this tapping thing, and, why are we doing it exactly? We have so much data and research, such a huge data set. And then we're also conducting and supporting some other random, RCTs and other trials to show the physical effects that are tapping. I just saw one cross my desk a few weeks ago, which was actually a replication of a previous study, which is important to show, hey, we can do this study again. These effects hold up, and it measured cortisol before and after tapping. So there was one group that did an hour of tapping in a group setting, another group that was the psychoeducation group, so they learned about stress and the body, and the third group that was a control group that just sat there reading magazines for an hour. Cortisol was measured with salivary cortisol, so pretty easy. You spit in a tube, and it measures how much cortisol, the main stress hormone, is running through your body. The tapping group saw a stunning 42% decrease in cortisol. The psychoeducation group saw a 19% decrease in cortisol, which to me shows what can happen when you learn things. You get empowered, you get relaxed, your cortisol drops. When you add the tapping in, you get that number up to 42%. And then the poor, sad control group who just had to read magazines for an hour, their cortisol went up 2%. So probably reading the news or something stressful. So for us, for the next couple of years, it's really doubling down on the research, getting the app into corporations, into VA hospitals, into other environments where they can be rapidly deployed and used at a really low cost to lower stress, lower pain, and increase productivity and performance.
Cool. That's very cool. What is the, you had that situation with the man with the back pain, a veteran. What other really unique stories can you share with us that you've seen with patients and others using the technique?
Yeah, my goodness. I mean, I get a report every Friday from just community comments in our Facebook group, and our community manager picks the 50 best ones, and every week, and I'm still blown away. I mean, when someone says to me, oh, I had a migraine headache that went away with tapping, I'm still shocked. It's still like, this is incredible. Seen amazing things along the way with pain relief. It helps to unlock something in the body, relax it. Then everything else you do seems to stick better. I hear time and again from chiropractors who say, oh, or people who go to the chiropractor and they say, well, your adjustment stuck this time. Like, you didn't go back to your old habits. What have you been doing that's keeping that pain down? Fears and phobias, a straight out phobia can be cleared with tapping. Really powerful. That was one of the ways that was originally discovered. What else is panic attacks? I mean, I live in Newtown, Connecticut, the site of the Sandy Hook school shootings, and we've done a lot of work here since 2012. And one of the amazing women we worked with is Scarlett Lewis, who lost her son Jesse in the shootings. I met with her just a few days after and taught her this tool as an adjunct to help her find some calm and peace amidst the most horrible tragedy possible. And she tells a story of waking up at 3 a.m. in the middle of a panic attack, as you can imagine, with going through those situations. And she had the presence of mind to do the tapping, just to go through it, do a couple of rounds, and instead of going to the hospital like she might have otherwise, she went back to sleep. So really, all the places in your life where you see overwhelming stress and anxiety, I mentioned PTSD earlier with veterans, those are the situations you usually want to work with a psychologist or psychiatrist that use tapping, and there are thousands of them at this point. But with that sort of guided support, with the app as a complement to that practice, we can really make huge strides in some of the mental health issues and some of the physical issues that we're all struggling with.
Incredible. When I see the technique, I've been to acupuncture, myself, and I'm a fan of acupuncture. But it's funny, I didn't discover tapping until I was introduced to you, the other day, and it's just really incredible that it's like a modified, it's like a shortcut. It does seem too good to be true that instead of spending $150 and whatnot to go to an acupuncture session, that you can do it yourself in 5 minutes and get the same types of effects. But incredible.
It's interesting that you use that language, too good to be true. I was on another interview earlier today and looking at the history of tapping. It was originally discovered in 1980. So we're talking 40 years of it being out there. And, it begs the question, like, why isn't it more well-known? Why isn't it bigger? And if I look at the history of it and the early proponents of it, who were incredible and amazing and innovators, but a lot of the early proponents of it believed in it so strongly because they saw it happening and they saw such incredible results that they said, look, I don't need the research or the science. Just do this. Take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, take a class, do this, and you'll know it works, right? Like, what's the point in convincing you? And that's all fine and good, but that only goes so far, right? And what's happened in the last decade, the reason why we're breaking through in a bigger way, is that we have the data, we have the science. People can say pseudoscience, placebo, all the mind, all they want, but then we just pull up the cortisol study and say, look, the mind doesn't drop cortisol 42%. So I think it's really the focus on research in the last decade that is helping us break through beyond this. This can't be real. It's too good to be true.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think where I've seen where acupuncture works really well is if it's incredibly relaxing to do in those sessions, and ability to take sort of a micro packaged version of acupuncture and bring it home is something I'm really excited about, because I'm a believer in acupuncture and acupressure and the benefits it's done. But I frankly don't get there to the acupuncturist as much as I'd like to. And this is really incredible to be able to, enable yourself, to help solve some of these issues. One of the things that we do at home is before my kids go to sleep, we talk about techniques of relaxing. And so we all get so wired on screens and, the blue light effect. And folks are a lot of focus on sleeping well, being so important to our health, and Ariana Huffington having her latest business and the book that she wrote about sleeping, and it's really about how we can get the kids to kind of relax before we go to bed. So we've been playing meditation, some of them it's different sort of thought processes, but I'm excited to try this out with some different age groups around the house this week.
Yeah, and Ariana and Agapi, her sister, are friends. I've tapped with both of them and had dinner with them, and Agapi's a big fan, and certainly great before bed. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and we tap together before bed. There's a tapping meditation in the app for all different ages of sleep. And I also I see some questions from the audience if you want me to answer them, Craig.
Yeah, there's a question from Anna about, is there a tapping sequence for test anxiety, stage fright, and tapping in preparation?
Great question, Anna. So test anxiety is actually coming in about 2 weeks. We're doing a pilot study with Princeton, and we're going to look at some test anxiety stuff there. So I got to get that recorded. I have it written. It is coming. Stage fright is there right now. I believe if you go in the app and you just type in public speaking, there's 3 different ones. So we have a reduce anxiety before speaking. So when you do this at home and prepare yourself. Then we have finding calm if you are backstage getting ready to go. And then there's a go deeper set one where we look into why the fear of public speaking, what are the traumas from the past, what are the things that are holding on that might be contributing to that. So we have those things. And then she says tapping in preparation. Yes, so probably meaning stage fright. So I think the reducing anxiety before speaking would be helpful.
That's great. That's great. When as we wrap up here, and thank you again for providing your time and helping us educate on this topic. Is there any parting advice that you'd have for the group here? Should they obviously they should go directly to the website and download the app. That's the advice I'd give. I've done that this week. Where should they start? Is there what's going to prevent procrastination? To drop any advice you want to give to the crew before we wrap up.
Yeah, great question. So download the app. It's free to download. The model's really simple. There's a ton of free ones, and then there's a very affordable premium if you want to unlock it for a month or a year. Since this is a business crowd and we're startups, I would start with exploring the Motivate Me to Have a Productive Day tapping meditation. So there's a whole Motivate Me 2 series in the app. The Motivate Me to Have a Productive Day is a free one. I use it and hear so many people getting great results with it. Let me see how long it is exactly. It's less than 8 minutes and will completely unclutter your mind and get you focused.
It's awesome. I think especially these days with all of us mostly working at home and every day sort of being the same, not a lot of kind of morning routines breaking up. Sometimes I get the morning walk in, but that's more often it's waking up, taking a shower, and then sitting in front of the computer. So having something to really clear the mind and motivate is I think that's a great suggestion there. Thank you. And we got a question from the audience from Kelly. Which one of your books should she buy to learn the method, or should she go to the app? Or
yeah, I mean, it's up. The app will teach it as well. The book gives you a deeper exploration, so it's whatever you want to do there. The name of my first book is just called The Tapping Solution. Really simple. And then my latest book, which I'm preferential to because I think it's an easier, more enjoyable read, it's a deeper process, is called The Tapping Solution for Manifesting Your Greatest Self. That's the one I would personally recommend. People seem to get the most results from that book.
Great. And there was, I think Carmela was looking for the name of that motivating.
Yeah, Motivate Me to Have a Productive Day.
Motivate me to have a productive day. Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, thank you again, Nick. This has been a pleasure to meet you. I've got some ideas of how maybe we can incorporate tapping solution into some of our Verbella Team Suite offices where we have people working. Obviously, the Verbella team works here, but we also have customers who rent virtual space within our campus here. So there might be a tapping location for people to come and watch some of your videos. That might be a fun and relaxing way to put that together. So we'll talk about doing that. Thanks everybody for joining us. We're excited to have you join us, whether it was your first Startup Grind event or this has been the third one for the summer series. Our next one is 2 weeks from today, and please join us for the next two. And let us know if we can. If you have ideas about other leaders you'd like us to sit down and talk with, and please get in touch with me. I'll put my email down here in the bottom chat. And thanks again for everyone. And if you want to clap for Nick, then you can click on the app and F4. There it is. Thank you, Nick.
I won't be offended by the non-clappers who can't figure out how to do it. So
I'm gonna give you a backflip. How about that? A secret code backflip. This is when I get real super duper excited.
Whoa!
And you can also hit some of the dance moves that you click on your own name, and then you can really boogie, or F7.
Oh my gosh.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a terrific evening, and don't forget to start tapping tonight for relaxation.